Okay, so you feel like the end of the world's come because your acne has not gotten any better and it's possibly gotten worse, or anything that you've done has just not worked. So what can you do? There is a solution, but it's a difficult solution. There's a medicine called Accutane. Accutane is a medicine which is taken by mouth. Usually it's about 1 capsule a day, and it's taken for 120 days. And most people, when they're through, do very well. Sounds like a wonderful thing. So why wasn't it given to you before? Well, the answer's rather long. First of all, if you're a female, you've got to read this entire book. You've got to be familiar with it, and you've got to answer the questions right, and you've got to qualify. Why would that be? Well, because Accutane is a medicine which will cause birth defects, and it will cause a birth defect in every person who, or woman I should say, who is pregnant. So you can't take Accutane and be pregnant. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to get pregnant. Well, that's just not the way it works. People do get pregnant. It's an unfortunate thing. Best laid plans of mice and men often go astray, and that includes pregnancy. So the federal government decided a number of years ago to restrict who could take Accutane, and you had to qualify. There were several stages that were done, and unfortunately none of it worked. The federal government and some groups want to take Accutane off the market. As a dermatologist, I want to keep it on the market. There's some very unfortunate people that have had poor results with various acne medications, and as a result, they needed to be on Accutane. If this is pulled off the market, we've got a problem. So you're part of the solution. You have to contribute to following Accutane if you're going to be on it. You have to follow it correctly. If you don't follow it, then we dismiss you. We just say, I'm sorry, you're not a candidate for Accutane. If you can't do it right, you're out of here. It's like the baseball game. 3 strikes and you're out, but in this case it's 1 strike and you're out. So it's really not like the baseball game, is it? So why am I holding all these books and papers and things? Because not only do you have to qualify for Accutane, but you have to follow certain food guides. There are various documents that you have to sign that you pledge, and it is a contract, and potentially you could be sued if you don't do the right thing. And there are various bits of information that you have to be familiar with before you'll even be considered for Accutane. In addition, we don't give Accutane in the summertime. It makes you sensitive to sunlight. Accutane will cause your blood fats to be elevated as you take it. We have to watch those. It can make your muscles sore. We have to watch for that. If you take too much Accutane, there's a possibility that down the road it might ruin your joints. That's why we limit to 120 capsules. It's known that if you go maybe around 240 capsules of Accutane, you begin to get into the joint problems. I don't want you to have any problems. They show up years later. I don't want you 20 years from now saying, oh, I shouldn't have taken that much. Why did he let me take that much? Well, I'm not going to. It's that simple. The other part about it is attitude. Some people, when they take Accutane, they begin to get depressed. We've got to stop the Accutane. Some people think that they can do whatever they want to and not have to obey the rules. Well, obviously that's 1 strike and you're out. The 1 strike that we don't even permit is taking the Accutane without you being on a reliable form of birth control. And what that boils down to is that you have to take birth control pills, and you have to be tested periodically. That brings up the fact that we test for blood fats, other abnormalities, once a month when you're on the Accutane. It's very restricted. When I'm determined that you are accepted into the Accutane program and you've been qualified, you have to sign up through the computer. Then we have to watch and see exactly how you're doing month by month. You have to show up. You can't have any excuses. If you have an excuse, you're out of the ballgame. Accutane is very strictly controlled. We're very serious about it. But if you do the right thing, usually at the 120th day you begin to look just wonderful, and that's the objective. Some people have asked, well, what about men? Well, they have birth defects. What happens in the long run? 30 days after the last Accutane pill, the Accutane's out of the bloodstream, it's out of the fat, and you're doing okay. So, this is a little introduction to the restrictions and how we feel about Accutane, how we approach it, and the no-nonsense attitude. If you think you're a candidate and you can abide by what we tell you, then good. If you understand that we throw you out with the least little provocation, we're not mean about it, we just can't fool around with people that don't do right. So you have to be very familiar with what's going on. But if you understand these things, then we can talk further about Accutane.